Well, this is new. What I'm talking about is this virtual vertical live stream on YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Whitney Kay, and you are listening to the live Uno Mas podcast. And before we get into today's topic, I'm like, what is happening? Apparently, you can now stream live vertically on YouTube, and YouTube is going to also push this out into shorts, which is super cool and exciting. Something I have not done until just now, but we're embracing it. We're loving it. I'm digging it because it's actually probably going to make our video editing a little bit easier because everything's already in 9:16 format. So let's go. But today we are talking about rebranding. In fact, I'm going to get really comfortable here because I'm going to be sharing with you my entire rebranding journey over the past couple years. Like what happened, the choices I made, what I did right, what I did wrong, and everything in between. Uh, yeah, let's just get right into it. So, a couple of years ago, my husband and I decided that we were going to start building a home in Florida. And during that big transition of life and new leaps forward, I thought to myself, I really need to start leveling up my business. And part of that was trademarking the brand social savvy influencer when I had it. And I need some drinks today, y'all. People, I'm like dry mouth central over here. So pardon me as I take a drink live. But, anyways, a couple years ago when we were rebuilding the house, it was like, I need a new fresh start. I need to trademark my brand. And so I sought legal representation to go through this process. And come to find out, ironically enough, where we were building our house, there was a lady that had already started the trademarking process on my exact brand name, only like 20 minutes away from where we were leaving or living or going to be living, I should say. And so the lawyer came back to me and she said, "Hey, just so you know, there's somebody that is already in the trademarking process with this name. We have two options here. Option one is to continue forward with our request to trademark because there's a good chance that somebody can back out of, starting the filing process and then not going through with it. There's problems that arise. We see this all the time. So we can continue forward with trademarking social savvy influencer, or we can pick a completely different name, rebrand, and you can start fresh." And initially, I was just like, I was intrigued and interested in the possibility of rebranding. But then there's a huge part of me that was like, I've spent the last 2 years building this brand, building a digital footprint with this brand. Like the thought of having to redo everything over again, rebuild an audience under a new name, like cause possibly audience confusion. I mean, there's a reason why after so many followers or group members on Facebook, Facebook themselves don't even allow you to rename your group or your brand because, quote unquote, it can cause audience confusion. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. But then I thought to myself, Whitney, you own a brand and marketing agency. Like, if anybody can rebrand, you should be able to do what you say you do well for other people for yourself, right? So, I was like, let's do it. Let's completely rebrand. Back to the drawing board. I have to come up with a name. And this was lesson number one. I wish when starting my brand and starting my business, a lot of us that have that entrepreneurial bug in our system, we especially like there's like the creative entrepreneurs, and then there's just the messy entrepreneurs that they don't really know how to like put things, systems, and processes in place. They just are free flowers. They just run amok. And there's people that have to come behind them and clean up the mess. And I am a mixture of both the free flower, let's just go and I'll figure it out later. But I'm also the strategic mind, the person that does like to have a plan in place, not so much to where it hinders me or disables me from moving forward, but assists me in making sure that I'm making wise decisions for myself. And so I had to come up with a new name. And that was stressing me out from the very beginning. I was like, I don't even know what to call this brand, this agency that I want to continue developing, but is also closely tied into me, my personal brand. And when I thought about what I should be naming it, nothing came to mind. And, the lesson that I learned is that when you're branding and when you're starting your own business, instead of just running amok and trying to figure out and clean up the pieces later, I wish I would have trademarked my name from the very, very get go. And that was a lesson learned that now moving forward, any business, any entity, any brand, anything that I start up or get going, trademarking is probably going to be one of the first things that I go after. Now, trademarking in itself can take several years. I'm actually still in the process of trademarking Eden, which is, 2 years in. We're almost at the finish line, like any day now, finish line, because everything's been approved and green lighted. But it's just been a process. So it can be a process. So just know that going in. So I wish I would have trademarked my name, which I didn't. But now that I know that, I know what to do moving forward. So when thinking about a name, I like I had to seek out a higher calling, a larger purpose. What I had been building for myself, ideally I was not vibing with. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever invested time and energy into something and you're doing the activity, you know what needs to be done, but there's a piece of you that just isn't connecting. There's a piece of you that isn't leaning in. Like, if you were fully invested, it could be the best of the best of the best that you are able to produce. But some of the things that we create and we think will be a good idea for us moving forward, or we feel like we're passionate about, or we feel like we're inspired to do or create, ultimately aren't fully and truly aligned with our core values, our ethics, our morals, our vision, our just overall beliefs, right? And that's kind of where I was with social savvy influencer. I kind of felt like an ick with the name. And I don't really know why. Maybe because I didn't feel like an influencer, like the terminology influencer in itself. And so like I was having a disassociation with that name. So I was kind of excited about a rename. But with that being said, I was completely lost with what to do. So I went into prayer. I prayed for God to lead me to a name that aligned with my values, my beliefs, and my overall purpose with what I envision this company and this agency to do and the work that we're able to produce for the certain people that I'm wanting to produce it for. And ultimately to strengthen and expand his kingdom, ultimately, because that is the purpose in everything that I want to do and everything that I was not doing previously. So when I went into prayer, immediately, almost immediately, I felt this vision come through, or this download, if you want to call it, come through of the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and how everything was beautiful and perfect. And there were two trees in the Garden of Eden. And then one of those trees is the one that God just said, this is the one you cannot eat from. This is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and don't eat from it. And ultimately, Adam and Eve ate from it, and it completely sent us in a new trajectory for the world that we now live in today, a world of sin, a world of fallen people, and a world of free choice, ultimately. And I was really intrigued with the vision that I was getting. But then he said to me in like this faint, quiet voice, Eden, identity, Eden, the Garden of Eden, Eden, identity, branding, the starting process of developing a personal brand, a brand identity is developing that identity in the core. Like, who are you? Who is your brand? Who do you serve? What is it that you do? Like, everything about a brand, it revolves around identity. And it's the starting phase of any new birth in business. It is the foundation of new beginnings and possibilities and excitement and delivery of what we are in total as a brand. And so when I got this download, I was like, holy crap. Like, that's my brand name. That's what I'm going to be rebranding myself to. That's what my name is going to be. It's going to be Eden, but with an I, pronounced like the Garden of Eden, but spelled like identity, IDEN. And that is what my brand is going to be, because that is what I love doing. I help people and brands develop that brand identity, those foundational starting points to digital and massive impact for their brand and their businesses. And so that locked it in. I was like, okay, I got it. I'm like super excited. Text my lawyer. I was like, I got the name. And she's like, holy crap, I didn't even give you like a solid week yet to figure it out. Are you sure you don't want to think a little bit more? Because whatever we do end up trademarking is going to be, what you're stuck with, unless you want to trademark something completely different. And I was like, no, I got it. Like, this is what I want to do. And this is what I want the brand to be. And so I told her, I actually gave her two names, not going to lie. I did give her an alternate. I said, which one do you like best? And I did send those two names to friends and family and got their opinions on both of the names. And the other one, like, I don't even know why I came up with this. Maybe because I think they're cute and they're protective of, and like there's a story around them, but I'm not going to get into it. But the other one was Elephant Agency. And I know that, like, hearing that out loud now, it's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But if I were to explain to you the story behind Elephant and everything that I was tying it to in regards to what I wanted to do and serve, blah, 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 it worked. But identity is or Eden is what we spun off of, and that's what everybody liked, and that's kind of what we went with, and that's where we identify, design, engage, and navigate your brand in business. So I just loved it. So then fast forward, there's the name. She's like, okay, we're going to go through the trademarking process. And the lawyer sent in the paperwork. And here we are now, 2 years later, right? I'm still in the process of trademarking. We are almost at the finish line. Everything's good to go. We've gone through a couple phases. We had to change a couple things because I moved across the country in the same 2 years that I've been doing this. So we were I went from Ohio to Texas, and then Texas. Now we're in Florida after building and closing on our house a year ago. So here we are. And now I'm in a new state with a new business. As soon as I got here, I established, the LLC in the state of Florida, and I am now a new entity in the state of Florida, but I have no flipping network. Like, how do you rebrand a company that has now essentially no digital presence, because I've not established one for Eden? I've established one for my previous brand, but now that we've rebranded, there is no digital presence or recognition. What the heck am I trying to say? Recognition of the brand name under this new name. So I had to do what most people do in a rebranding scenario and launch that to my audience, launch that to my online audience, launch that to my Facebook groups where I have huge communities on Facebook groups, launch that to my email list that I've been building over the course of 10 years. And the one thing I love about my email list is that I've always been really truly transparent with them, telling them that, I mean, they've seen me in all journeys of life and business. And I just love that I'm able to share that with my community. But I had to explain to them the process and why we're rebranding. And somebody took my name already. Well, they probably had it first. Obviously, they trademarked it before me. But, somebody took the name that I had originally had. So now we're rebranding and all this stuff. And by the way, moving across the country, starting everything new, come join me along in the process. And so everybody was really open and warm and accepting of the transition. But here I am now in Florida with a new business, no digital presence really established for this brand, no local network, mind you, at all, because I didn't have a lot of time to build this network. And so what did I do? What did I do to kind of get my feet wet and jump into a new community and to a new network of people after moving across the country with nobody really knowing who I am or what my brand is or anything of that sort? So the first thing I did is we redesigned the website. That was the first goal, is like, if we're going to rebrand, we have to completely come out the gate with a brand new website, new vision, new colors, new aesthetic on all social media, new messaging, new purpose, new vision, new audience, kind of, in a way. And I was actually really, really excited about this. Everything was new and everything was exciting. It was almost like a fresh new start and letting go of pieces of the agency, pieces of the brand that just weren't aligning with me in that moment of life, and kind of like a caterpillar coming out of a cocoon and rebirthing something beautiful and something I was truly aligned with. So, as we rebuilt the new website, we updated all of our, Google business presence, all of the social media, got all of the names on all of the platforms to make sure that we had that digital footprint locked in and secure, which is super important. You want to make sure that you're doing that when you're thinking about rebranding or naming your brand. One of the biggest things that I think I see people do so wrong is that they have this business name, but then they create all these social accounts like Eden, Bradenton, Florida. Like, okay, I get that you want to mention Bradenton, Florida, but like, is Eden, Bradenton, Florida, like, is it easy to remember? Is it easy to type out? Isn't it, and can you lock that in on every single social platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, doesn't even matter. You want to be able to lock it in on all these different platforms. And when you're thinking of creating a social handle and you're thinking about creating a social and digital footprint, it's got to be easy. People have to be able to say it with ease, type it in with ease, search for it with ease, have it populate with ease, keyword with ease when they're searching. Like, it should come up easily. And so I wanted to make sure that we locked in the digital footprint, all the social accounts with the brand name, and that we did. Okay. So website's done, social media handles are done. We had to redo all of the visual marketing. Like, if we had lead magnets that were with the old brand colors, like, we had to do all of that new, all of the print marketing we had to update, all of the digital marketing ads that we had out there, we had to update with all the verbiage and the messaging and the brand persona and the aesthetic, the colors, the brand identity, and everything like that. Follow new brand guidelines that had to be created. So there's a lot of things that go in to a rebranding process. But the good thing is that there's agencies like mine that can help you take on this load and streamline the process to where it sounds overwhelming, but it's done in like a check mark system to where we get it done with ease and actually very, very quickly, to where the stress is not there like you feel it might be just thinking about it. So after that, after we got like the digital footprint out of the way, we changed everything online, we changed all the social, everything like that. It was like, okay, you're in a new city, you're in a completely different state. Now we have to establish a local network. We really have to get Eden's name out here locally. And if I'm being really honest with you, like, I did not struggle with working from home with COVID. I was like excited about it because digital is my jam. I love doing everything digital, digital meetups, content, podcasting, YouTubing. I love digital stuff because it's my safe place. I'm an introverted extrovert. Like, I am a homebody at heart. Get me out. I have no problem talking to people. I have no problem starting up conversations. I have no problems in groups of people, but I tend to kind of feel the room and stand in the back until I feel comfortable, and then I move forward. But digital has always been comfortable. In-person stuff for me was always a push out of my comfort zone, something I had no problem doing, but didn't really prefer to do if I had the option to not. So when I got here, one of the commitments I made to myself and my agency, because my agency, we are a remote agency. So everybody on our team is remote. Okay. We don't, except for like a couple of in person assistants that I have local to me that might help, or a local production crew that we outsource and work with on client projects to do video and audio, stuff for clients in regards to their social media or whatever digital outlet they're wanting to put that out on. There's people and subcontractors that we work with, but ideally the agency's remote. So establishing a local network was something I really needed to commit to. But how do I go about doing that? And I look now at 1 year later and how far and quickly things have grown, and We are so blessed. I am so blessed and grateful and thankful for just the new vision and the identity, Eden, that we've created. Because I feel on purpose, I feel truly aligned and at peace with what I consider to be a boutique style agency, but serving more and more clients as the weeks go by, which is super exciting. And a lot of these clients are coming from local referrals, which is just crazy to me because we literally have just been here a year this month. So, one of the first things that I needed to do was get myself plugged into a local community network. And no better place for that than my church. And I wasn't wanting to get plugged into church to benefit me. I just wanted to get plugged into church to have a sense of community and to be able to serve and strengthen the kingdom of the Lord here on earth. And that was my sole purpose. But by doing that, by being surrounded by people, which is natural to talk about what you do and where you do it and how you do it and who you serve and, you know, do you have kids? Do you not have kids? Are you married? Are you not married? Like, do you like to go to the beach or do you like to go watch movies and shop? Like all these, you start to mingle with people based on your personal interests, and community naturally happens. Friendships naturally happen. Networking naturally happens. And this is what I needed to not only strengthen my relationships here locally, but also to get the word out about my business and my brand. And I did it in a way that wasn't, oh, look at me and look at my brand. It was just natural. It came up in conversation, which is like the most easygoing way about talking about your business without feeling like you're selling to people all the time, which I've been in the direct selling industry. And let me tell you, am severely tainted by the methods and practices in that industry. And I'm still kind of working through that a little bit, but I digress. Let's go on to this topic. So, got plugged into church and felt the Lord calling me into serving. And I have volunteered here and there. I have never been on a serve team with a church, but I was really excited where the Lord was directing me, and I felt again there was divine purpose in not only where he planted me as far as a church community, but where he was directing me in regards to service. And service then quickly led into leadership, and now I'm a leader at our church. And that led into me hosting monthly meetups and gatherings with our church leadership and volunteer teams here at my house, where we're upwards of like 20, sometimes 40 people at my house. And then that branched into running a women's Bible study on a weekly basis from my house. And like all of these open doors of opportunity to not only strengthen the kingdom of the Lord, but also to make friendships and build community and be able to talk about business. I mean, I'm getting referrals for my business from people I don't think I've ever met, but have heard about me through somebody else, through a friend, and whatever. And it's because I was willing to put myself out there. Everything is the Lord's. I truly believe nothing that I have would be here without his blessing and without his goodness and his love and his grace, because I am so undeserving, but I am just walking in purpose and vision for what he has for me here, and at no pace other than the pace that he has for me. And it's really funny to hear me say that, because years ago I would be like, it's got to be my pace. We got to go faster. We got to harder. We got to go stronger. We got to, do this and be that and exceed this and exceed that and achieve this. And it's just like such a hungry, desperate world that we live in for self gratification and putting ourselves on these pedestals that ultimately, like, a lot of us aren't even deserving of being on and don't even qualify to sit on. Let's just be real with that. But I am okay with the pace that I'm going, but I feel called to serve his kingdom with this new identity, with this complete rebrand, with this complete shift. And he is pouring in to this agency and to me every single day. And that is how I've been able to establish a local brand, a local network, a local community And ultimately, all of these things, everything that's all in common with like the rebranding, the name, the vision, the purpose, the new brand guidelines, the new audience that we serve, the church that I went to, the community that I tapped to into, becoming a server for the church, and then stepping into leadership role, opening the doors to my house to bring in to bring in networking and community and fellowship. All of it comes down to a simple word: yes. I didn't know what a simple word of saying yes to things that felt so uncomfortable, things that I have never done fully in my life, but saying yes to, okay, let's rebrand. Saying yes to, okay, let's choose this name that I felt downloaded from my Heavenly Father. Okay, yes, let's change, the vision and the purpose and the messaging and the audience. Yes, let's move across the country. Yes, let's get ourselves rooted into a new church family. Yes, let's serve. Okay, yes, let's step into a leadership role. Hey, Whitney, do you want to host group gatherings for the volunteers here at church? Yes. Open up my doors to my house. Do you want to lead a Bible study? Yes. I mean, everything that has happened in this entire rebranding process has been a yes. And I understand that for many of us that are we like logistics, and we like processes, and we like systems, and we like things to make sense. Saying yes seems so airy and free, and it's just like, how does that help me in my business? But I can't tell you how it does not help you if you're constantly saying no and constantly keeping yourself locked down with the fear of moving forward and the fear of trying something new. In order to try something new, in order for risks to not be a risk, but to be a reward, we have to be willing to say yes to what it is that we're being called to and what it is that we are being led to and stepping into in this next direction or phase in our brand and our business and our life. And that is what I have done. And through the entire rebranding process, I have felt so much peace, so much excitement, so much comfort, and so much clarity in where I'm going and the purpose that I have for this business and for this brand and for the people that the Lord is bringing in to work with me and partner and align myself with and serve. It's a beautiful dance. That's what it feels like, just like a beautiful free flowing dance with my brand. And I've learned to stop trying to control everything, to maybe, if I'm interested in pursuing a brand or a business, to not only seek what I desire myself, but what does my Heavenly Father desire through me? And how is He planning to work through me in my business? And I wish I would have done that from the get go, because I feel like the reason I feel so aligned and truly called where I am and on purpose is because I'm on purpose for the Lord and not for myself. And then I also feel like I have learned to appreciate the small and not elevate the unrealistic and the inflated life of personal desires, because that is what we're so conditioned to chase after: the fame, the money, the luxuries, the status, the popularity, the fame, the accolades. All of that is what we're so conditioned to chase after, the vanity metrics on social media. And I went through an experience at the end of last year that made me realize that there is something so divine in not being the biggest and the best and being perfectly planted where you are in the moment, that is bigger and better than chasing after any of that. And when I finally felt that freedom and that sense of purpose and comfort and clarity in my own business, is when all of the chaos of the rebranding and the years that it's taking to fully lock it in as far as the trademark goes, none of it matters, because I know that it's just going to work out. There's just that comfort, you know? And Yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's been kind of crazy, and it's crazy to think what can happen in a year. But I guess my biggest recommendation to you is that if you are at this place with your business, where you feel like you need to rebrand, maybe you need to structure things, maybe not rebrand like the name or the visual aspects of something, but maybe you just need to do a radical change with your products or your services or who it is that you're serving. Maybe you have to do an audience shift, whatever the redirection is. Sometimes we have to let things go in order to rebirth new wonderful things that the Lord is putting on our heart and on our mind and on our conscience. And ultimately, like what we deep down know that we want to pursue, but we're so terrified to do it. So say yes. Say yes to stepping outside of your comfort zone, to going through a process of rebirthing and peeling back the layers of what is burning deep inside of you, because something beautiful can truly come from it. And if you're not really sure how to go about the process of, what is best recommended, like what is step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4, like how do I go about this process? Are there ways that I can trademark because, if I can't afford to hire legal representation, maybe like you, Whitney, what are other avenues that I can take? Where should I start looking to see if all these social media handles are available online? What does it look like to completely rebrand my website? Do I have to build a whole nother one, or do I just make subtle changes on my own? What current website? Like, there's all these questions that you might have in regards to how to go about rebranding, and I'm here to help you with that. I've learned a lot in the process of a rebrand over the course of these past 2 years, but I've also learned that you don't have to do it all like in 24 hours. Like there's a stepping stone process that you can take that unlocks and unfolds something really cool that you're going to be rebirthing. And the best part is if we learned to take our audience along with us in the journey, you create some really brand loyal fans along the way, and people that are truly invested in you and what it is that you're creating or recreating through the rebranding process. So I'm excited to help you through the process. If you have any questions, drop them below in the comments. I'm happy to jump in and answer them. And if you want to just talk to me about what your thoughts are, where you are currently in your business, maybe you don't feel fully aligned and you want to get fully aligned, maybe you're just at that place where you're just not excited anymore. Let's get excited with your brand and business again. And let's redirect it, let's refocus it, and let's put you in a path or on a path of purpose and clarity for yourself, your business, and your brand. I hope you got some value from me sharing this today. It was really awesome to kind of rewind and go through my thought process and kind of the things that I went through. And I look forward to unfolding more as the weeks go on. So have a wonderful and blessed day. I'll be back next week, everyone. Bye.